goodness. From up there. Oh, my. Inverted superplex.
If you come at the king, you best not miss.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this contest, and
acknowledge us.
Hey, guys, we're here at the Red Carpet Rain Turnbuckle King here. We'll go over what went wrong with SmackDown. We'll go over the issues with WWE SmackDown. We are talking about the most recent episode of WWE SmackDown on Friday night on December 6th. Let's get into it, and we're going to see the issues going on. And, of course, before we forget, you guys do this one simple task.
Not real.
Trust me.
But that doesn't do anything, man.
All right, let's get into it. We're going to talk about that right now. So with that being said, let's get started on that. One thing I would say I did see wrong with this current episode, well, this most current episode of SmackDown, the Kevin Owens angle is getting stale. And I'm saying this because for the past several weeks, Kevin Owens, ever since he attacked Cody Rhodes at Bad Blood during the press conference for that PLE, when he was an unexpected heel turn when it went viral, Kevin Owens has been cutting these promos in his car or at his home, saying that he was kicked off SmackDown, and SmackDown don't let him come to the show, or say we got to say he's going to abide orders and do it anyway, and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They said that. And then now we got where he does get invited to a WWE SmackDown episode to come to the arena. He gets another promo to card, this time with Michael Cole tonight. Now, Kevin Owens, don't get me wrong. He has every right to feel what he feels. He has a t-shirt saying Kevin is right and all of that. I get that he's upset, but this whole angle's not going anywhere. And I just don't see it going nowhere. Now, Kevin Owens not only got beef with Cody Rhodes, remember he has beef with Randy Orton as well, which he did take out with a banned pile driver. That is not over yet. It's just on pause for now because Randy Orton is sitting out. But the Cody Rhodes stuff is pretty much still on. They do have a championship match next week as Saturday Night Main Event for the WWE Undisputed title, which I'll talk about. We understand that too. But meanwhile, this angle's not going nowhere. And I think this angle will only make sense if Kevin Owens, the way he's been pushed as a brand new heel status that he is, he needs to win the WWE Undisputed Championship. There's no other way around it. He needs to win that title. He needs to have a heel run. And maybe it will make more sense. Maybe it will elevate Kevin's character more. Maybe it will make this angle, his character, everything being the forefront of SmackDown. Because right now it's not. It's still Cody Rhodes. When we hear other things, we still hear other people. When he's not the main thing of the show. I know he's not on TV every week, but it's just getting stale. And you guys know what happens when I see things that get stale.
You know what's going to happen? No. Words? You just made the list.
So I really hope they're doing something with this angle. I really hope it's going somewhere because this is getting too whack too soon. Now, we know that Bad Blood, when Kevin Owens turned on Cody Rhodes back in October, we are in December now for the past 2 months. Same old story, same old thing, same old nonsense. I mean, ridiculous. I mean, come on, really. They got to do something. They got to do better than that. They have to do better than that. I really hope they do. I really hope they do. So, I don't know. But it's crazy. So that's one of the things I see wrong. That I saw wrong with this current episode of SmackDown. I did not like that at all. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what they're going to do. It's just not it. This angle's not it unless he win a title. If not, it'll be all for nothing. All for nothing. I will say that, to say the least. You got to do something with this angle. No more Kevin Owens cutting promos in the cars. No more Kevin Owens. Why am I beef with Bloodline for 4 years? No more Kevin Owens going off. We get it. You upset. We get it. You've been screwed. We get it. Trust me, we do. But it will not do any justice for Kevin Owens or anybody else watching or fans if it does not go to the next level, and that'll be for Kevin Owens to win the title. No other way for that. So hopefully they get that going, and they really do something with that. So like I said, that's just something that needs to be worked on. That's something that needs to really be pushed forward. They really need to do that. I really hope they do, because it will not turn out good if they don't. It'll be a complete, utter waste of time. And then Kevin Owens is right back at the bottom. Kevin Owens is right back and not doing nothing. And he's right back lost in shuffle, just like he's been before this whole bloodline feud started 4 years ago. After pretty much been lost shuffle since he lost the Universal Championship. Let's call it what it is. Let's call that what it is. So that's one thing I saw wrong with SmackDown. Another thing I saw wrong with SmackDown, the women's tournament turnout so far. Now, I don't know if you guys know, we're in the semifinals of the women's United States tournament to crown the inaugural champion. Now we have here Tiffany Stratton will go ahead and face Michin in the semifinals. We also have Chelsea Green challenging Bayley in the semifinals. This is both next week's episode. Now, with that being said, I'm thinking, where is this going? Because for this title, initially, I thought we was going to get women who are not former women's champions, women who's not even held a singles title, which is Michin and Chelsea. But it seemed like to me, if they're going to run with this whole Tiffany Stratton being Miss Money in the Bank, get her to beat Michin and go to the finals and maybe lose. That's what it seemed like. I don't think they're going to just have her lose now. But it's her Michin in the process if Tiffany advances next week and Michin don't. I don't like where that's going. Now, now on the opposite side, we have Chelsea versus Bayley. A lot of people root for Bayley to win this tournament. Remind you, Bayley is already a Grand Slam champion, the first women's Grand Slam champion. Like, she's accomplished a lot in her career. Very, very well deserved and respectfully. But this could be a good opportunity for Chelsea Green to get her first singles title in WWE. You know, she's only held the Women's Tag Team Championship. And Chelsea began a huge pop this year ever since Money in the Bank, which was in her hometown, when a lot of people, including me, thought she may would have won the Money in the Bank, which was eventually won by Tiffany Stratton. So she couldn't win the Money in the Bank like Tiffany Stratton has. Have Chelsea be the inaugural Women's United States champion. And I think they're going to favor Bayley. That's what I think they're going to do, and have put her over instead of Chelsea, and have it come down to possibly Chelsea losing to Bayley and Bayley advancing and facing Tiffany in the finals, which would be a Saturday night's main event. But that's what it seems like it's going. Now, we could get a swerve. We could get a different outcome. But I think that's what they're going to do. Bayley and Tiffany advance. Bayley, former women's champion, Grand Slam. Tiffany Stratton, currently holding the Money in the Bank, on her way to be a women's champion. I don't see how this really going to benefit Michin and Chelsea. Those two are going to get lost in the shuffle. Those two are going to get the short end of the stick. And that's what I mean by this turnout. And if that's going to happen next week on SmackDown, we'll pay attention. This is how I'm going to feel about it.
You just made the list.
So I don't like this at all. I don't like how this turnout would be. I do not like that. I have to admit that this is not good. This is not good at all. Not good. I really hope I'm wrong about the situation. Normally, when I'm spot on about something, I got a good idea. That's normally where it's going to go majority of the time. I could be off because I stated that before. I've been off on certain things. But I don't think that this tournament is leading to Bayley and Tiffany. And Tiffany do not need to win the women's title because she's going to hold a contract. She cash in for she's going for the women's world title. She had to hold both, give credibility. And Bayley is already won the women's champ. She's actually the first, along with Mercedes Moné, with the first women's tag team championships. Like, she don't need this too. Chelsea and Michi need these belts more than these two do. I'm just saying. Tiffany has a whole career ahead of her, holding women's Money in the Bank. Bayley, you already established star, former women's champion and Grand Slam. I mean, you don't need that. So the turnout don't look that good from what I see with the women's this tournament of where it's going right now. So I don't like that part. But let's get to another part of SmackDown I do not like as well. And this is a big one here. I talked about this earlier, and I said I would come back to it, and we're going to do that just now. DIY, the current and brand new WWE Tag Team Champions, who just won the Tag Team Championships on SmackDown, defeated MCMG with John Gargano with a low blow, and they both are fully healed now. But anyway, the reason I said I don't like this, I don't like this because this is exactly what I said was going to happen. And I said that I was not going to be happy about this at all. If you guys remember, if you follow the channel, a few days ago when I covered Raw after New Day turned their backs on Big E, I said I had a fear that they was going to do the same rinse and repeat story with DIY similar to the New Day. And if you don't believe me, let's check it out right now. And this was this is my Monday Night Raw review that I just did a few days ago. So this is a quick recap of what I said, and it became reality. Now that they're a heel tag team, and not the babyface no more. Remember, Xavier been pushing for the heel. I just want to notate this right now. If you guys don't pay attention to Friday Night SmackDown, this is the rinse and repeat I see with Triple H. I'm thinking about it right now as we speak. Let me say this before I forget. They are running a similar storyline with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Tommaso Ciampa's like Xavier, being angry, being the heelish type, and Johnny Gargano's trying like, what are you doing? Johnny Gargano's like a Kofi. It seemed like they're gonna run that angle of maybe Tommaso and Johnny come to amends and agree each other, be a heel tag team, or one or two will turn each other. Keep an eye out for Friday Night SmackDown. If it does go down like that between Gargano and Ciampa, remember I said this here, they're running the New Day angle. Just want to notate that. That seems like that's what they're doing. I hope not. I really hope they don't run that angle the same as that angle. Because if they do, Triple H, I'm going to be mad at you, and I'm going to be feeling like a no-ye moment, as Jey Uso would say.
And no ye.
I really hope they don't run that same angle with DIY. I hope one of those two turn on each other. I don't want to see this again. This was great for New Day. Excellent. Superb. I don't want to see this again on SmackDown where John Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa both become heels and they start beating up everybody, attacking Street Profits. I don't think they're going to do that because Street Profits are pretty much already at that similar point. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I am. But the great segment, best segment of the night. Let's move on to the rest of the show. And it turned out I was right. That's exactly what happened. DIY turned heel, very similar to how New Day turned heel. The only difference was DIY was doing this for the tag team championships, which they did win. And this is during a match, and people didn't expect to happen, but I did expect to happen. I didn't want it to happen. That's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, this is where it's gone. And I don't like that at all. I'm glad that it was a good move, but it's a rinse and repeat style, like I said, of the New Day, which is earlier this week. Man, Triple H, come on, man.
I'm tired of being nice. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I told you guys that that's where it was going to go, and I was unfortunately right. And I wish I wasn't right on this one, but I was. And you know what happens if I see stuff like this. I said I was going to be mad, and I'm still a little mad about it now. I'm still thinking about it now, being upset.
You know what's going to happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
Rinse and repeat of heels terms. So the second time this week, Triple H has done a rinse and repeat story he did on Raw. He moved the characters around in different scenarios, and he literally did the same thing a few days later on SmackDown. That's great booking right there, right? It's not. It's not. It's not. I don't like this at all. John Gargano, him and Johnny, I'm not mad they won the belts. I'm not even mad they're heel. It's how they went heel. It was too similar. If New Day didn't do what they did on Raw early this week, and they did what they did, I would be all in all of it. I'd be very excited for it. I would have felt very excited for it. Yeet. I would have been saying yeet right now, but I can't because I knew that this is what they was going to do, and I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that it was going, and it just don't work for me doing it that way.
No, brother, it doesn't work for me right now,
It don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Like I said, it's the whole planning. Similar scenario. The sequence is too similar. DIY was up at odds with each other almost approximately, not as long, but close to approximately the same amount of time that New Day was being at odds with each other. New Day was a little bit longer, but you get what I'm saying. They both had the same scenario. They're beefing with each other. One is already on the heel side, and the other one is either going to be on the heel side and join them, or they're going to go around and feud each other. And that's what happened here with DIY, just like Kofi and Xavier. And it sucks because it's not being creative enough. It's not being creative. You can't tell me this is creative. And we're going to check this out in 2025. I want to see how Triple H really going to do the booking of not just Raw, not just SmackDown, baby faces and heels, stables, tag teams, men division, women division. I want to see how we're going to do storylines, and I hate to say this now. I don't like saying this. I think we're going to get old, born, and stale storylines that's rinse and repeat from either Raw and SmackDown going off each other, like we just got this week, or maybe they even go far back to the NXT storylines where Triple H first started NXT back in 2012, 2013, 2014, 15, whatever. He's going to get those old storylines. Raw and SmackDown going to have the same storylines, different characters. I think that's going to do for 2025, and Triple H is running out of ideas to do for these shows. He's running out of ideas, and he's running the same thing. He's running what works for him. That's what he's running with. What story works for him? What's going to get him ahead? What's going to reach the plateau and keep the needle moving? It's like he's afraid to try new things. He has a scarcity mindset, and he's just running what he knows. And I don't like that. And again, you know what happens if I don't like that. You already know what happens if I don't like that.
What's going to happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
So I do not like this at all where this is going. I don't. And that's exactly what's going on. So that is one thing I do see a problem with. Some more things I see a problem with. And we're talking about the what was announced on SmackDown, which we'll see more of, unfortunately. We are talking about this whole roster trade. I read this earlier, the transfer window. This whole transfer window is trash. I don't like that. It's terrible. You can't tell me other way. This was going on, and I think it's a complete waste of time. If that's what they're gonna do, it don't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me at all. If that's how they're gonna run things. And the reason I say that because what's the whole purpose of a draft? I really want to know what's the purpose of a draft. I don't get it. And my problem with the draft is it's not really a draft. It's not a draft. It's not a draft at all. How's this a draft? You said that when the draft came out initially, this year, when this draft came out this year, when the draft was done, I was under the impression when WWE said that it was going to be a roster lock and there will be no more moves made after what? Right after Backlash. What's the whole purpose of this whole thing? It's just a waste of the whole thing. Let's recap, look over the draft of 2024. The rules. On SmackDown, there'll be 4 rounds, 16 total picks. On Raw, there'll be 6 rounds, 24 total picks. Champions on each brand are protected. Women's tag team champions are eligible. SmackDown will pick first on Friday. Raw will pick first on Monday. Why are we doing this whole thing in the first place? Then we get the announcement here. If you guys remember earlier this year, right after the draft went down, they made the announcement too that there was going to be no more change to the roster. It says here, after grading the roster, after much anticipation of the 2024 draft, the rosters of Raw and SmackDown will lock in on Monday, May 6th, which was after Backlash. It comes off of the heels of a successful Backlash event in France where all 3 singles champions retain their titles. And they're talking about Cody Rhodes, Bayley at the time, and Damian Priest, all champions. So they did not lose their titles, but this don't make no sense. Why are they doing this? What is the whole purpose of a draft if you're going to turn around and have a transfer window? How do we go from that within the past 7 months? Why is there a draft? Why is there a draft? You're going to do this. If this gets to this point, if this whole, I'm going to keep an eye on that too. If the transfers do not make sense, it's like the draft didn't make sense. If the transfer between 3 brands don't make sense, and it doesn't get better as far as a brand for each brand in the shows, and feuds and rivalries, whatever you want to call it, then you really need to end the brand split. You really need to end this whole thing. It do not make sense to do a brand split if you're going to have a transfer window after initially stating that it will be, the rosters will be locked on in May. It don't make sense to do that. It's really nonsense here. And with that being said, I got to put this on the list.
What's going to happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
And the brand split. If you can't draft people properly, put them on the right brands, and get champions, proper opponents for their championships, and have some good rivalries going on for all brands, men's and women's division, and the brand split. The draft is just dumb anyway to begin with. Why do we have how is it a draft? And you got people that are already on Raw and SmackDown established, and you take them to another show. That's not a draft. That should be more like a trade. The only people that should be getting drafted to any brand Raw and SmackDown are NXT people who never been on Raw and SmackDown, unless they already been on main roster. They got sent back down to NXT. I'm not talking about those people in particular. I'm talking about the ones who started their career and they went to NXT and they never been on Raw and SmackDown full time. For them to get drafted to Raw and SmackDown makes sense, but the whole thing of someone that was already on Raw for a year, 2 years, especially been champion, a world champion at that, you're going to draft them to SmackDown or Raw or whatever brand they was on. This makes the draft a waste, and you got it in the brand split. It makes it a complete waste of time. It makes it a waste. I don't understand that. What's the whole purpose of doing this in the first place? Why would you just have somebody do a trade? This whole transfer window, you should have did this in the beginning. It should have went from draft NXT people to Raw or SmackDown, male or female, and had the people trade off on brands. Then do the transfer. Hey, this person, and even the transfer, just call it a trade. These titles that WWE use don't make sense. Don't call it transfer window. Call it a trade window. Let's call it what it is. This is really a trade window. It's not a transfer window. It's a trade window. That's what it is. That's what it really comes down to. It's a trade window, not a transfer. And then you can have people that are already on each brand, Raw, SmackDown. They get traded because they're copying this draft off the major league sports like NFL, NBA, MLB. That's what they get in this draft after, but the league don't even do stuff like that. For example, for NBA, if you have LeBron James who played for LA Lakers, who has established career, won championships, do you draft him from the Lakers to the New York Knicks, for example, or do you trade him, or do you let him go in free agency? You trade him more likely or free agency. You don't draft LeBron from the Lakers to the Knicks. You would trade him or let him go to free agency. They could use that option too. WWE loves to use the term free agency. How could you tell us will be free agency and they go sign with the other brand? Run with that more than the whole drafting from brand to brand. You don't draft a wrestler from brand to brand. You would trade them or let them go to free agency. The whole draft don't make sense. It sounds ridiculous. And the whole transfer window sounds ridiculous. There is no transfer window. It's a trade window. Unless there's some type of licensing or copyright or some type of thing that the major league sports have that can't nobody else in major sports use the word trade besides it. Unless it's under those circumstances, you need to do a trade window, not a transfer. That don't make no sense to me. That sounds utterly ridiculous. So WWE has to do things better. And like I said, they know WWE's doing this because they know in the back of their mind, deep down, that when they made this roster of the draft that they did earlier this year, it really did not serve no purpose, and it really was indeed a lousy draft. So once again, when I see a lousy draft, as I said before, this is where it goes.
What's gonna happen? No. Words? You just made the list.
So that's exactly what happened with this draft. It was a lousy draft. It was not good at all. It made no sense at all to do a draft. No sense. It didn't make no sense to do a draft. So I didn't understand that for the life of me. And now we're going to go to this transfer window. Now let's look. How long is the transfer window? It don't even say how long it's for. It don't say how long it's for. It just say a transfer window. How long is this for? We saw a glimpse of it on Chad Gable being on SmackDown. I mean, this is dumb. This don't make no sense. And this is why a transfer window is not going to work if not executed properly. This is what led. I think stuff like this what led to the brand split, the first brand split, for those who don't remember or don't know or forgot, in 2011. This stuff like this, decisions like this, and the whole draft and the acquisitions, this is what led to the first brand split. That's why they ended it and they brought it back in 2016, 5 years later after the initial brand split was ended. But if they keep this stuff up, you might as well end the brand split. You might as well end it. We will have another deja vu and end the brand split again, just like you did in 2011. That's where it's going to. Because this don't make no. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole thing. It don't make sense at all. It doesn't. Matter of fact, I know that there was people have talked about this, that it don't make no sense of why to do a draft like you're doing. It was discussed before that it don't make sense to do a brand split if you're not going to use it properly. Why have a brand split and you got people popping up on each other's shows? And it only just be the champion. In the past several weeks, I understand for Survivor Series, we saw Liv Morgan on SmackDown, Nia on Raw. Now we're seeing Chad Gable on SmackDown. Now you're enforcing this rule. And then we see other superstars pop up on Raw who on SmackDown. Then we see NXT people pop on Raw and SmackDown as well. Like, what is going on here? What are you doing? Clearly, what are you doing? What's the purpose of this whole thing? It's not really serving no purpose. A brand split was a brand split to keep people on this show and this show only. Keep these people on that show and that show only, not crossing brands. Come on. It don't make no sense to even have a brand split if you're going to do that. It do not make sense to do that. I don't get it at all. So I don't get the whole thing on that. So I don't know what's the next move they're gonna do. But this has to be done right. It has to be done right at all. So I don't know. Some stuff that it just does not make sense at all. And I'm seeing this here with this situation here. So with that being said, I know that Eric Bischoff, he talked about the whole draft and brand split. He talked about this on Inside the Ropes.
But I think after going through my own experience and then having been a part of the WWE's experience, the advice that I have would be to be as disciplined as you can possibly be at keeping the brands distinct. If you don't make them feel completely different, it won't work. And part of that is creating stakes. Part of that is it's got to feel real. It's got to be believable, or nobody's going to buy into it. But don't let the talent start transitioning back and forth, because you dilute the concept. They won't feel like two brands. They'll just feel like two different shows, which is what they already feel like. Because the WWE does such a great job of producing such a phenomenal show, it doesn't feel, it's almost too perfect. There's no grit. It needs to feel a little gritty. At least one of them. They don't both have to feel gritty, but one of them has to feel a little edgy, a little dangerous, like something's going to happen that you wouldn't expect on one show because it's a little less sophisticated. That's the magic. And if they both start feeling very well produced, almost glossy in their presentation, and the talent is jumping back and forth, I won't give it 6 months. You won't hear the term brand extension 6 months from now. It'll suffer the same fate that it suffered the last time they tried it.
That was Eric Bischoff on Inside the Ropes talking about the situation, and he had a good point. It don't make no sense. If you have them, it's basically what I just said a few minutes ago. If you have talent on both shows bouncing back and forth, if you have talent That's supposed to be on one show, they're on another one, and for no more reason, unless it's a real big story, it kind of defeats the purpose of that. And that's what I've been saying. And like you said, it led to the first of the end brand split. And that's what it might happen again. That might just happen one more time if they keep playing around. And that's exactly what I mean. Will this lead to a brand split again? Could we possibly see another brand split ending in the near future? Because he had a good point when he said that. Eric Bischoff, I don't agree with everything he said, but he was right about that. He was definitely right about that situation. The draft, it does not serve no purpose. Give me one good reason why the brand split should split purpose. How do we go from here talking about the whole roster lock, then we go here to talking about a transfer window within 7 months? How does that make any sense? Who benefits from that? Who's it helping? Who careers it elevating? Nobody's. It doesn't do anything. And I think it's just a waste of time. You don't need a draft anymore. You can still keep 2 belts, the 2 women's world titles, the 2 men's world titles, and all the other championships. I'm not saying get rid of all the titles. Majority you could keep. Maybe the mid-card titles, you keep 1 women's mid-card title, but the world titles for the men's keep both. Maybe even women's you could bring down to 1 title. But why do we have a draft if it does not serve no purpose? And again, if I see that, you know what happened.
What's going to happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
This is what puts you on the list for that. This is nonsense, guys. It's not helping anybody. Yes, Figure 4, get rid of the draft. Just get rid of it. Get rid of the draft. 2025, no more draft. 2025, 1. Just keep 2 shows, 2 titles, but no brand split. No draft, no brand split, no nothing. Mr. Pro, salute to you. What's going on? But yeah, I want this draft to be gone. The past 2 drafts have been trash. 2023 draft, trash. 2024 draft, trash. When's the last time WWE's had a great draft? I can't think of none. I can't think of it. How do you have a draft and you draft people to the same show that was already on? Someone was on SmackDown and they get drafted to SmackDown. Someone is a champion on Raw or already got a career on Raw and they get drafted back to Raw. You ever heard that? You got drafted right? Oh, they're right back on Raw. They're right back on SmackDown. Come on, man. Who do you think you're trying to fool? You guys must think as fans we are dumb and we are very naive and we don't catch up to what y'all doing. That's what y'all really think.
What you need to do is stop playing. You might have all these crusty, dusty musties tricked, but you ain't tricking us.
You're not tricking us at all. This is ridiculous. This is not a draft. This is child's play, really. It's a joke. And then the whole thing about the draft, I know why they do the draft. They don't want to say it. I know why the whole draft's going on. And it's not cool how they do the draft, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. But it's just ridiculous how they're doing this whole thing. It's just not right. It's not right at all. And you guys know it's not right on the low. You guys know this is ridiculous. It's not helping anybody for that matter. None whatsoever. It don't help at all. The draft does not help anyone. I'm sorry, it's not helping anyone. It's hurting people. It's hurting folks. It's not making it better. You see, it says making it better, but it's not. It's not making it better at all. It's not. I don't get this whole thing of what they're doing. I just don't get it at all. Every time I think of the draft, it's cringe. It's cringe with this draft. I don't know about you guys. I'm cringe when I hear about the draft now. It's just cringe the whole entire time. It's not helping anyone for that matter. Especially when I heard about this crap yesterday on SmackDown. I'm like, are you kidding me? Is this what we're really doing now, WWE? Is how we're going to go about things now? We going to roll with this thing, and now we got the whole, come on, man. That's nonsense. That is straight up nonsense now. This ain't helping anybody. And we know that the whole thing is they're not going to get rid of the draft. Unfortunately, they're not going to get rid of this draft. They're not. Now, people don't want to talk about this. I'm going to talk about it because I got time, at least before a deadline, and I do. But it's just ridiculous how they're doing things with this draft. I just don't like what they're doing. It's crazy. It's just fans are not. It's getting to the point fans not happy about draft no more. Like, we know what's going on. We know that people get drafted to the same show, the same brand. Nothing new is going to happen. Nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same old rinse and repeat storyline. And I'm telling you right now, draft won't be the only rinse and repeat. The storylines will be the same. Just saying, guys, don't be surprised next year in 2025, we're going to get the same feeling that we had with Vince McMahon back for all the years of how he gave us crappy storylines and nothing but utter nonsense. We may get the same thing with Triple H if he don't change it up. If he don't change it up. I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. Don't be surprised if it comes down to it. Do not be surprised if that's what it comes to. But something is just not right with this whole thing. And something was not right with the whole draft thing. The whole draft thing just seemed very funny to me. And I'm not even going to act like it hasn't. Now, the whole thing with it is, guys, the whole thing with the situation is there is something I want to talk about, and we're going to talk about it now. Because I really want to go on this draft, and I've been talking about this for months. Ask Figure 4 TV, he'll tell you. Unfortunately, the WWE draft is a setup. It's a setup, guys, and it's a setup for failure, setup for release, whatever you want to call the whole thing. And where, if you guys remember, Dijak did an interview. This is where I first learned of this setup. He did an interview with Fightful Select maybe 5-6 months ago after he was his contract was not renewed by WWE. He wasn't released. His contract wasn't renewed. He ain't with the company no more, bottom line. Let's call it what it is. We going to talk about it. And he going to talk about this whole draft thing. And this is why I think the draft is a setup. Let's see what he had to say about this whole thing.
In WWE tell us, yes, they are. And a couple times they've been wrong about that too. And there have been a couple more that, like, I think Riddle's dropped after, which who knows? Maybe he was on a beach without a phone or something. Who knows with him? Yeah. But like, they weren't over. So it's it's heartbreaking.
The game that we're playing in our blinds, our minds are just spinning while it's happening, and we're refreshing and we're looking at and the game that we're playing as all these names are popping up is why him?
Sure.
You know, we're talking to each other like Braun, Bray, can you believe it? But and then you hear through the grapevine, it's like, oh, I heard that this guy got in an argument with Vince. I heard this guy asked for more money. You know, so we're justifying it. It's like, what did I do? Did I ask for more? Did I make a mistake? Did I look at it the wrong way? And it just
there were definitely some of those 2019 deals. We're talking about how much Carl Anderson and Gallows were making. They talked about Braun's new deal being 7 figures. They talked about what Bray was making. Then they got cut.
Yep. So it just becomes a nightmare. And it's where everyone gets notified. It's called with like a message and whatever. I don't care what it is. It's better than
dare I say that them informing a guy a couple days before his deal expires that they will not be re-signing him is also not a good way, because I can tell you
a couple is unfair. I had a little more with you.
Sure. And how does that go? I know that there has been a talent relations shakeup there.
I don't want to get specific into the dates, but it was not that long ago.
Okay.
I was for one reason or another, I was told not to get into the specifics of the dates. I don't know whether it matters or not.
Okay.
It was somewhat recently. Let's put it this way. I've been trying to negotiate with WWE because contracts. This right now, because I'm still under contract right now, is the furthest.
And your talent relations guy got the boot because I know that, I mean, Natalya is up in a few days and Becky Lynch's deal was allowed to be up, but she wanted to take time off.
Well, I'll do that. Tell you.
And that's Dijak. He talked about the whole the draft thing. Now, what I'm gonna say here, for his contract expired, he's gonna talk about the whole WWE draft. He's gonna talk about that in a second. That was just over the contract expiring. That's one part. Now we're gonna get into the whole being drafted to Raw. There's some nonsense there too. And this is what I mean about the whole WWE draft. And it just don't make sense of how the draft is really a waste of people's time. It don't make sense at all. So I don't get that. But that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing here. And I wish it didn't come to that, but that's what it is. That's what it's come to. And that's why I think the draft was created initially, and I think it's to screw people over. He talked a few minutes about it. Let's see what Dijak had to say.
Pro. It's a big pro. I'll be honest. It's a big pro. I was on WWE programming seven to 8 days ago.
Yeah.
On
you can go to Uganda tomorrow if you want.
I was the pinned tweet for WWE yesterday.
So
tweet. I thought that was hilarious. I was the pinned tweet.
I'm trying to figure out a way to ask this in which you can maybe appropriately answer that.
Sure.
So, I mean, if you found out, I presume you found out before yesterday, so you were still the pinned tweet. So you knew while they were still actively promoting that you were no longer going to be in the company.
Yes. I mean, there's your window right. You have to 1 day what? Because I probably would have done it regardless. But no, I'll just state that as fact. I found out after I wrestled Xavier Wood. Everybody pumped everything.
drafted to Raw.
And that's an and I've asked it, but no one's given me an answer to it. And this is the whole thing that I was just alluding to. Why is this happening? And you can roll it X 10, 12, 14 reasons. I've been in WWE long enough. Knew they had a general idea of when my contract was. I mean, they made the contract, so somebody in some capacity knows when my contract is up, or whatever. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I think they were generally aware of when my time was coming up. My guess would be that these decisions were likely made in some capacity before I even went to NXT. Let's put him in NXT and see what he can do there.
Of course, you had some of the greatest matches of your career there, and now anybody that might have that doubt, did Retribution ruin this guy permanently? Now say no.
Nobody's more than me. I've been super public. I've thanked Hunter. I've thanked so much this to and I don't know this to be fact, but my gut tells me that no matter what I did, the decision had already been made.
Okay.
And that's.
Now that's Dijak. He went on Fightful Select with Sean Ross Sapp, and he talked about this back in, well, I want to say May, June, whatever it was. He was released. I think it was May, right after the draft was happened. This is right after he was drafted. If you guys remember, the point I put that interview out was, this is why they make the draft. The draft is a screw job. And people don't want to talk about it. It's a setup. It's a setup. That's all I gotta say. He just even Sean asked him, why did you get drafted to Raw if you turn around and got released? And that's why WWE is doing this release or this draft thing. It's to release people from the company. That's why WWE does this draft. It's a screw job. That's why they don't want to get rid of it. It's not, think about it. People get released shortly after the draft. People get drafted to the same exact show that they already was on. Let's be serious here, guys. This is a screw job. And nobody wants to talk about that. This is literally a screw job in the making. And that interview right there show you that draft is nonsense and it's to get rid of people. We literally not too long ago, if you guys can remember, we saw Dijak. He was drafted on. He went back to NXT after the Retribution they failed. Went to NXT, did his thing, had a great career, like he said, in his second run NXT. Then he gets drafted to Raw again, just like he did with T-Bar with Retribution. And then he gets released again? Come on, guys. I know a setup when I see one.
What's going to happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
This is why WWE's keeping the draft. It's to screw people over and help release them. They would draft people from NXT or whatever brand they was on that wasn't doing nothing. Remember, they always draft people that wasn't doing nothing, was sitting on the sideline. They was pretty much idle on the roster. Then they get drafted to this brand or that brand. They put them on TV once or twice to fool you, make it they're doing something with them. Then we don't see them for months. Whether it's injuries play a factor, I understand that, or whatever the case go on, the next thing you know, they're gone. And the next thing you know after that, they're not even with the company no more.
You standing here and you don't even go here.
And that's what's going on. That's why WWE's not going to get rid of this draft. It's to release people. I said it. That draft is initially set up to release people, guys. So it sucks, but that's how they're doing it. And you heard what Eric Bischoff said earlier. If you don't keep the brands unique on each brand, it's going to lead to a brand split like they did back in 2011. You know, so that's what it's coming down to, and it's terrible, guys. It's terrible, but that's how WWE's running things right now with that draft. That's why we don't like it. And with that being said, we are done with what went wrong with SmackDown. Let's move on to the bonus round. Let's move on to that. And we're going to talk about the WWE Saturday Night Main Event. We're going to talk about that in a second. So we're going to talk. I got my predictions of who I got winning each match. I got my predictions on who's going to do what when it comes down to the event. So let's talk about that in a second. Give me a couple minutes. We're going to get that going. Let's get that going. Let's see what's going to happen next for the main. For the bonus. All right, we here at the bonus round, guys. We're going to talk about Saturday Night Main Event predictions. We're going to talk about their predictions, what's going on, who's going to win each what match. Let's talk about the match they do have going on right now. So let's talk about it, guys. Who we got going on? So we're talking about Saturday Night Main Event predictions. So there's no particular order. Let's begin and talk about it. This is next week, December 14th in Long Island, New York. And right now we have four matches potentially going on. 3 already confirmed, but we'll talk about the other ones. First off, let's talk about Liv Morgan versus Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. Io Sky has won an opportunity to face Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship, win a battle royal. Io's been on fire. Io has been winning in singles matches against Bianca Belair, others. She was in the Women's War Games. She stood out for her team with a trash can spot. She's been good in tag teams with Kairi Sane as part of Damage Control. And now she gets to face Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. Io Scott, a former WWE Women's Champion, former Miss Money in the Bank ladder match winner that she won in 2023 Money in the Bank PLE. Now, Liv Morgan, who's been champion since King and Queen of the Reign back in May, on to championship for well over 6 months, the 7th month now. Who wins between Liv Morgan and Io Sky when it comes to this championship? Who is the winner? Do Io become the brand new women's world champion, or does Liv Morgan retain her women's world champion? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. This is what's going to happen at this here. I will say this. Io's going to put up a very good match. She's going to put up a fight. She's going to put up a fight now. I will say that. She's going to do her thing with Liv Morgan like she normally does. Thing about it is, when she does do her thing, it could lead her to potentially winning. But you know Liv Morgan's going to have Raquel Rodriguez and the rest of Judgment Day backing her up. They're going to hold her down. So with that being said, it could lead to Liv Morgan slowly sneaking out of there, slowly sliding her way to go ahead and retain the Women's World Championship against Io Sky. Liv Morgan will retain. But that's not all. This is where the plot twist comes in. This is where we finally gonna get it. I think we could. This will be a big event. Saturday Night Main Event, record ratings, history back to in the 80s. What if we got Tiffany to cash in her women's Money in the Bank contract? What if we got that during this matchup? Because we talk about the brand split don't mean nothing. In the Money in the Bank contract, cash on either champion. Maybe Tiffany don't cash it on night after all. Maybe she does go after Liv. And maybe if she does that, she could go in and become the brand new Women's World Champion. Maybe that could be a thing. Maybe that could be a thing. And that could spark things up because remember, I just mentioned they're doing the window transfer. Why not only transfer regular superstars and people that could win the championship? Maybe they switch brands. They already put that on the table with SmackDown. Why not could be any more different with Tiffany Stratton? Maybe she's the difference maker. Maybe she's the X factor to spark things up on Monday Night Raw. An unexpected cash in. Everyone think it's going to be Nia, but it'll be Tiffany. Tiffany cashed in on championship, and she cashed in on the title between Liv and Io, and she becomes your brand new Women's World Champion. That could be your winner. I'm just saying. That's what I have for that particular thing. I think Tiffany Stratton will she'll cash on that contract and win. I think that's how it'll go. You guys let me know what you think of that. Yeah, Tiffany might cash in. That's right. No more brand split. You're right. That's my prediction for that particular match. With that being said, let's lead on to the next part of the show. Now, they're saying here, speaking of Tiffany Stratton, they're saying that there could be a potential, it's going to be a tournament final for the inaugural WWE Women's United States Championship. Same with the Intercontinental as well. Let's say Tiffany Stratton does not qualify in the semifinals next week. Michin defeats her. Let's say Chelsea Green defeats Bayley or Bayley defeats Chelsea. I will say if I had to pick one out of these four women to win their inaugural WWE Women's United States Championship title, I will pick Chelsea Green. She's top of the list. Maybe Chelsea Green wins this match. She gets her first title. She gets a huge pop. And the crowd been cheering for Chelsea off and all year since Money in the Bank of this year. Why not? That would be good. Michin, no disrespect to her. I like Michin, but maybe she could be the one to defeat Chelsea and become the second Women's United States Champion. Tiffany Stratton could possibly cash in on Liv Morgan's world title. She won't need this tournament. And I always said she don't need to be in it. She got bigger fish to fry. Bayley, are already established women's champion that's held the women's championship many times. Women Grand Slam winner. She don't need this title either, but Chelsea does. And if Chelsea don't win, maybe Bayley wins, but she don't need it. They're going with the sure thing. Bayley may win. She may win. Bayley is a possibility, and maybe Chelsea defeats Bayley for the title, be second champion, and Michin defeats Chelsea. Bayley could be a possibility, but it's gonna come down to Bayley or Chelsea Green. Me personally, I'll pick Chelsea Green. She stays healthy. She's good in the locker room, but Bayley's more established, like I said before, veteran. Could be a locker room. I think a locker room leader I've heard. So they're gonna run with Bayley, like Bill Brett said. So that very well could be a scenario. They could go with Bayley. Yes, that's right. The town needs Bayley. It's new needs prestige, just like the women's tag team championships that we have now. So you're right, Bill Brett, and that right there is undisputed.
And that is undisputed.
Bayley could be very well the one to win the inaugural championship. I do see that happening. That will be the case here. I do see that happening. Bayley will win if Chelsea doesn't win. So we're going to see what happens, though, guys. We'll definitely see what happens. That's the second match of the card. So Chelsea Green or Bayley is going to win this title, not Michin and not Tiffany Stratton. Let's get on to the next one. We got Finn Balor challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, you know Finn been coming for Gunther. He interfered during the match between Gunther and Damian Priest at War Games. He did attack Damian, and Gunther replied by kicking Finn off, kicking his head off. And then on the following Monday Night Raw after War Games, Finn Balor attacked Gunther during this matchup between Dominic Mysterio, him with 2 quarter draws, and he told Gunther he wants to challenge for the world title, stating that he would now held the world title in the first place when he beat Damian if it wasn't for Finn. And Gunther wants the match just as well, so it's beneficial. They got this match. Question is, who wins between Gunther and Finn Balor? Who wins this match? Who wins this match between these men? Who is going to do their thing? Who is going to win? Who gets over? Who gets over? And will Gunther walk out of Saturday Night Main Event with the World Heavyweight Championship? Or will Finn finally get his opportunity to hold on to another World Championship, as he not got that opportunity before back in 2016 when he had to vacate the Universal title due to injury that was sustained during the SummerSlam match against Seth Rollins for the inaugural title when he did that buckle bomb outside, making Finn forced to vacate the title. Here's the thing. I don't know if you guys been paying attention to what's going on in wrestling. They already sent reports here that, this you guys see it, Finn Balor has become a locker room leader. Big plans for him in 2025. So if that's the case here with Finn Balor, what's stopping him from winning the World Heavyweight Championship between Gunther? So my prediction is Finn Balor wins the World Heavyweight Championship, and he is your brand new World Heavyweight Champion. They already said big plans for him. December 2024, 2025 is literally around the corner, so Finn can win that title. And if he don't win that at Saturday Night Main Event, he could be a front runner to win the Royal Rumble in 2025 and challenge for the world title and win it. I'm just saying. So that could be the case here. I think Bayley will lose to Piper. They love the American versus foreign heel storyline. Could be. Yep, that's true. I think Finn will win. Kaiser might screw Gunther, or Damian will smack Gunther by mistake. Yep. I got Finn Balor winning it. They're already saying that he's destined to have a big push next year. I got my money on Finn Balor to win the World Heavyweight Champion. He'll become the brand new world champion. Mark my words. You heard it here first. And last but not least, we have the match that everybody's anticipating for. Cody Rhodes challenges. Cody Rhodes defends the WWE Undisputed Championship against challenger Kevin Owens. They fought once before Bash at Berlin. Kevin Owens was babyface. Now he's a heel. So now we get a whole different story here. Who wins this title here between Cody and KO? You said I heard the same about Piper. Oh, Piper getting a big push. That could be the case. So you mean Piper like the push with Finn Balor's going to get? Okay. Let's talk about Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens. We told you about the story. Kevin Owens, he's been involved. He had, like I said, stuff going on with the whole attacking Cody, attacking Randy, putting him on the shelf, coming after Cody. Kevin Owens is in a big stable. We see this whole promo, this whole thing with him and Michael Cole. And I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again. Kevin Owens needs to win his title if this storyline is going to mean anything. If not, all this work, all this build-up towards getting a championship match against Cody Rhodes will be all for nothing. But I got a feeling, despite all of that, Cody, I will pick Kevin Owens personally to win this title and become a brand new WWE champion. I have a strange feeling that they're going to go with Cody to retain. I think Cody's going to end up retaining because he is still the face of the company, bringing in a lot of merchandise. Well, like the locker room, WWE's going to go what they know, as Gilbert said earlier, go what's comfortable. But I think Kevin Owens should win to make the storyline make perfect sense. But they're going to go with Cody. And if they go with Cody, Kevin Owens will not get this far again. Kevin Owens will not get this much attention and much push anything. He will be a joke at this point if they don't do nothing with him. And I always see him getting close to getting a world title match or WWE title match ever again. I'm sorry, but they have to do something right. And we know Cody wins. We know what kind of move this is.
Spoken and spun like a true politician.
But Cody's going to win the title. I prefer Kevin Owens, but they're going to go with Cody. Cody should lose. He's spotted filming The Rock. Yep, I heard about that. Moana or whatever movie they're doing. Raw vs. Cody don't need a title. It don't. Right. Yep, they're going with Cody. Cody going to win, but Kevin Owens should win. And don't be surprised if they start booing Cody if Kevin does not win. We could get a surprise event at Saturday main event. Cody start getting booed. May get booed for winning. Don't be surprised if that. But that's what I have for that situation, guys. And that's all. And other than that, besides the match predictions, I don't know if you guys heard, Jesse Ventura, as stated on Bill Simmons' podcast, he'll return to broadcast announce table for Saturday night's main event on December 14th. So Jesse Ventura he was on SmackDown. He'll be at the announce booth, nostalgia act for Saturday night main event. Other than that, that's all I have regarding Saturday night main event. I have my early predictions for each match heading into next week, December 14th. It must be triple threat before we come in. Hopefully, we'll see what happens, but that's all I have regarding the predictions. We cover a lot here. Cover a lot the draft, the as they call it, the transfer window that's currently announced. Went over SmackDown, what went wrong with SmackDown, everything. So a lot was covered here, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. There's a lot covered here, but we got to get ready for a deadline. So I think it's less than an hour, start at 6. I thought about doing a watch along, but I may just do a review since I've been here for almost 2 hours. We'll see.
Something happened this weekend.